Hi, everyone, and happy July to you. I can't believe we are already halfway through 2024 and we are right smack dab in July. But here we are, and things are starting to heat up, and we are starting to make some very big adjustments, both individually and collectively. And so I wanted to utilize this time to talk about what's going on astrologically in July, as well as just kind of what I've been tuning into for the collective. So use your discretion on anything that comes through, obviously, and take what resonates and leave the rest behind. So we've all been going through pretty major transition points over the last year, especially. And this year is really about stepping into our own personal authority as we have the North Node in Aries, which is really guiding each of us to take our power back and to let go of all of the over accommodation and the over giving and the over that we've been doing for so long. And I think that we're really starting to see this begin to pop up, as well as with Pluto and Aquarius and this new 20-year cycle that we are in. We are really starting to see those shifts start to take hold. And of course, there's a lot more other placements, including Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, which has been breaking down the illusions around us, and with Pluto excavating down and pushing the structures and showing the cracks in the foundations. We've got a multitude of energies that are really playing a huge factor in us starting to see things much more clearly. And I think the consensus that I keep hearing from people, as well as just observing in general as I'm looking around, is that there's so many things that are so in our face now that there is no more avoiding, there's no more trying to turn away, there's no more hiding things. Things are just absolutely at the surface and in our face. And as I talked about in the last podcast episode, this is a great time because we are in an 8-year. The 8-year is about power struggles. It's about karma. And for many of us, we have been feeling this bubbling up, both individually and collectively, of things we just can no longer ignore. We have to address it, and we have to face it, and we're going to have to do some really hard work. And the next 20 years, as Pluto is moving through Aquarius and continuing to break down these systems, and that Aquarian energy is so strong, forcing us to really reevaluate our priorities, really reevaluate what we want our society to look like. I think that we're going to have some massive transformations for ourselves and for the collective, and what we want individually, as well as what we want our world to look like and the world that we want to live in. So these are big shifts. July is a 7 month. It's the 7th month of the year, but we also have an amplification of the 7 energy that is coming in right now. And the 7 is, if we look at it from the chakra system, this is tied, of course, to the crown chakra. So we are looking at our higher connection. We are looking at our higher self. We're looking at our connection to the big picture. And a lot of the energy that is coming through is about being able to zoom out, being able to look at things from this higher perspective, and being able to see that there's all kinds of other things potentially going on here that we can't always see with our eyes, but being able to fully embody and trust our wisdom, to trust our intuition, to trust ourselves, to know what we need, and to not look outside of ourselves for those things. And it's been funny because I've had a few friends reach out, as well as some clients recently, asking for guidance on certain things. And I will ask permission to ask on their behalf. And the funny thing is I'm getting a hard no. And doesn't usually happen, but it's been happening a lot. And then I had actually reached out to a friend and asked, could you confirm something for me? And she got a hard no about asking. So it's really, again, even our guides and our spirit teams are forcing us to turn inward. And they're all saying, hey, trust yourself. You already have the answer within you. You already have the knowledge. You have intuition. Use it. And this is really funny to me because even our spirit teams now are saying, okay, enough's enough. Stop giving your power away even to us. We're done. You're done. Everybody's done with this stuff. And we need to turn a corner and we need to really trust ourselves at this point. And I think that is the big message that's really coming through that we have to really look at. I did pull a couple of cards for the collective energy for this month. And the first one that came through was the King of Swords. And I love this because you can see all of the different bird energy that's coming through and the air energy that's coming through in this card. And what's interesting is that, I don't know about you, but I've been having a lot of experiences with birds lately. A few of my friends have too, where we've either had birds pass away right in front of us, or we have had injured birds that we have been taking care of. I had a nest of baby birds that I was able to watch all through the spring go through the process. It was so much fun to go out every morning and see these baby birds, and the mama working so hard on the nest, and then having the eggs and the eggs hatching and the babies being fed. And then one day I got this message that they were going to fly out of the nest, and I walk outside and they were outside the nest. And unfortunately, one of them did not make it. And it broke my heart. But the bird energy that's coming through is, again, thinking about they are at a vantage point, right? Because they're able to get up high enough to be able to look at things from an angle that a lot of us can't see. As humans, we're very much mired into the energy, and we get very caught up when we're in our human experience where we can't see things real clearly because we're down on the ground and we're in it. And so this is an invitation, I think, for all of us to really take that bird's eye perspective that we already have the knowledge, we already have the wisdom inside of us. We just need to have some isolation time to be able to pull way out and to be able to see these things at a higher perspective. And this is the big theme for July, which ties into the crown chakra perfectly because that 7 energy is about the higher perspective. It is about that bird's eye view, and it's about being able to really step back and trust yourself and know that you have the wisdom and the knowledge. The owl here can see through the darkness, can see through the illusions. You've already got that within you. And so to trust that you have this already there and that you can lean on it at any time. And the other card I pulled from Amanda Ellis's deck is around miracles. And I think that we do forget that there are miracles around us every single day. We're really inundated with the negative information that's always being pushed our way. And for those of you in the US, it's been a pretty big week of a lot of really negative things. But we also are losing sight of the opportunities that are in front of us and the miracles that are actually at play. And remembering that times of hardship are actually times of breakthroughs, that things that look like very tough obstacles or people that look and appear as though they're doing really bad things to us are actually instigators for us to take our power back and to be able to look for a different route to take out of a situation. And we tend to get into these very much these victim mentalities of trying to think that things are happening to us versus happening for us. And we have to remember when we have big events that change the course of our consciousness that shift things, or we have figures that come in who play these bad guy roles, right? Or bad women roles, whatever, bad person roles that you want to say, that they're actually shifters. They're big energy shifters for us, because it's about what are we going to tolerate moving forward? What are we going to tolerate? What aren't we going to tolerate? And sometimes, unfortunately, it takes some pretty catastrophic events to occur for us as a collective to come together and get behind change, get behind forcing change. Unfortunately, we have to get to a point of having something outside of us make that change versus us making the change for ourselves. And I'm hoping that you are seeing the miracles around you to make the internal changes for yourself versus relying on an external event to make that change for you. And that you can see that when these pieces come in, when these events happen, that they truly are miracles for you, because they're putting you on a divine path. And this month alone is that divine connection, that 7 number, that amplification of that divine connection, and that crown chakra opening up even more to allow more of your wisdom, your knowledge, and your source energy to come in and flow through you even more. So big changes are afoot. And I expect as we move into August, the 8-8 portal, because we are in an 8-year, and that energy will be amplifying as we continue to move through the summer, and we continue to see even more things that are in our faces. I think the big theme around a lot of this is flexibility. It is surrendering and trusting. It is allowing yourself to just go with the flow. And as much as you can to stay in that neutral mind or stay in that higher perspective, because there is going to be an increase in what I would consider chaotic energy happening for the collective as we continue to move through the summer and through the rest of the year. Those things will definitely be on display. And how can you stay in your heart? How can you stay grounded? How can you stay connected? How can you stay in the very present moment? Not worrying about the past anymore, and not worrying about what's going to happen, because that can change in an instant. You never know. And timelines are shifting all over the place for all of us. And we're all on a little bit of a different timeline anyway. But how can you just stay the course of being here in the present time and space? So a lot of that's connecting with your body, making sure you're outside in nature every day, and just being present within yourself for sure. So as we are leading into July, we just had a pretty major event happen, which is Saturn has gone retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So Saturn came into Pisces last March 2023 is when it came into Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces has been interesting because Saturn is the great teacher. It is here to really force us to work hard and to put some effort into wherever we're focusing in. And so within Pisces, Pisces doesn't like to necessarily be pinned down. I mean, this is not necessarily a comfortable placement to have Saturn, the great teacher, within Pisces. Pisces is about the worlds that are not seen. It's about just kind of just going with the flow. It's about illusion. It's about cloudiness. Of course, it's about artistic expression as well. And depending on which house you have Pisces in is really the themes and which you're going to have been seeing Saturn really pinning you down to work really hard. And for those of you who have been putting in the work, especially having a good spiritual practice in place, this is not going to be necessarily a huge deal. Saturn goes retrograde every year for a period of time. So that's not the big deal. I think the big deal with the retrograde is it's really causing us to go back over what we have done so far and reevaluating, are we sticking to the plan? Are we sticking to our boundaries? Are we sticking to the things that we have implemented? Or do we need to go back and do some refining at this time and making sure that we're sticking to something? One big thing that I am been seeing though is that there seems to be a bubbling up of a lot of karmic pieces that are needing to be cleared out. and there's almost a compression force that has a lot of people having to look at this. And I would say that if you haven't been getting the calls that we have all been getting over the last few years, especially since 2020, really, 1999 to 2020, or sorry, 2019 to 2020. It's going to be one of those things where I think you're going to have to really sit down and stop and do it. I don't think there's really any avoiding it anymore, and that's going to be a big component of this entire cycle. So we have Saturn in retrograde through November. Then on the 2nd, Neptune is going to go retrograde, and Neptune has been at 29 degrees Pisces. And so it's been conjunct with Saturn in Pisces. Neptune is about illusions. It's about what's unseen. It is about the dream state. It is around our higher consciousness. And so again, many of us have been focused on this, right? We've been really highlighting this. We've been shifting dramatically. We've been having more of our higher selves coming in. For some of you as practitioners, and some of you as just more tuned into the spiritual realms, you've been having a lot more, I would call exponential growth and communication and connection with light beings and other things coming in. And I think this has been an amplification of Neptune being in its native sign of Pisces. Again, with it going retrograde, we are also having kind of a revisit of some of these themes. And things can get pretty cloudy too, a bit. We may still have some cloudiness around this. So this will be an interesting time as we combine it with all the other energies that are happening as well. So there's a lot of activity going on. We also, on the July 2nd, we have Mercury going into Leo, which means our communications and the way we think are going to be a little bit more assertive. We have been having the stance where we get out there, we really say what we need to say, and then we have a retraction period coming in. Well, this is going to be another, we're out there and we're really fully expressing ourselves, which is a beautiful thing, because I think a lot of us have closed down throat chakras. It's very important for us to go out there and to be able to express ourselves unabashedly. So I would imagine that you may be having a little bit more of those expressions coming up to the surface. As we're still in the Cancer mansion, we're still in very deep emotional territory right now. And so Mercury may be bringing out some lower octave energies around what we want to communicate. So if we can try and take the higher route of really leaning into that Leo energy, which is you're in your authority, but you're also doing it in a loving and fun way, versus having this very like lion roar coming out. So one thing to keep in mind as Mercury enters Leo. Then on the 5th, we have the Cancer new moon. This is a beautiful time for resetting and really focusing in on your emotional house, on your emotional body, and really setting intentions around how you are going to care for yourself. How are you going to nurture yourself? We are looking at what's been hidden, what haven't we addressed, what have we been suppressing during this time, because Cancer is about who we are behind closed doors. And so with the moon and sun and Venus all playing a role in this new moon in Cancer, we have an opportunity for some very lovely and loving, healing energies as we do a reset, and we're setting new intentions around the way that we want to take care of our emotional body, the way that we want to take care of our home and our home life, and making sure that the family units are really intact. We do have an opposition for this new moon to Pluto. And so it's going to be in opposition to both Mercury and to Venus for sure. And so, we've got some potential unearthing there regarding what we want to say, and also how we may feel that we need more support and more clarity around our values and what we need for nurturing as well. So nothing what I would call like super duper crazy for this new moon, but definitely really important. I've already talked about the 7-7 portal. Again, connection to higher self, to your consciousness, amplification of that 7 energy, which is about that higher perspective. On July 11th, Venus will enter Leo, so it will join Mercury and definitely bring us a lot more outward expression of our creativity, and being able to express ourselves in a more vibrant way. So things will get a little more spicy as we move into the summer, deeper into the summer, and be able to have more expression around our desires and our artistic expression as well, because Leo can be very much about, it is very much about our artistic expression. And then on the 20th, we have Mars entering Gemini, which will give us potentially some scatteredness around where we're taking action. Gemini likes to dabble in a lot of different things. And so Mars being there could cause a little bit of disarray and a little bit of chaotic energy. So we have that. And then I think the really big news is going to be the secondary full moon in Capricorn. So we just had a full moon in Capricorn, and we're going to have another full moon in Capricorn on the 21st. So double headers of Capricorn. Again, Capricorn is about the structures that we have in place. It is this top-down mentality. It is where we're going to look for long-term rewards and success. It is really much about that father-grandfather energy. It's also about the ancestral lines. And this particular full moon is going to be at 29 degrees, where the first one was at 1 degree. And so we've had this whole month to kind of go through this expression. And again, this amplification of this energy, especially as we're talking about ancestral lines, we're talking about ancestral trauma, talking about things in the family line that need to be cleared out. This is the next opportunity to really clear that, as well as looking at any structures, restrictions, any caging that you feel that is ready to be released at this time, so that you can further step in to outlining the path for you. Capricorn is about the long-term view. It is about the higher perspective view. And so it is about, what are you setting in place that's going to catapult you to work really hard? It's ruled by Saturn, to work really, really hard for where you want to be. And so this is going to be almost like a nice ending point. But remember, at 29 degrees, the glass is completely full. It is the fullest expression. It's the aneretic degree. It is the mastery degree. And it is a massive shift of leaving the stuff behind. I think too, collectively with this energy, as we are seeing all of these things in our face about what is not working for us individually and collectively, I think this is another amplification point as to really breaking down the structures that aren't working, right? We're seeing that, and we're almost letting that go. We're almost putting that to bed, laying it to rest, and saying, okay, that's the past now, and we're going to let it go. So I can see that there's a lot of that energy right there that we are going to be working with. Next day, we move into the Leo mansion. So the sun enters Leo. Then on the 25th, we have Mercury going into the sign of Virgo. So we'll have our communications and our thought patterns will be much more organized, much more stable, much more grounded as it moves back into Earth. And that's going to wrap up the big events for July. So, in recap, the big thing is about, again, staying as present as you possibly can. I talk about this a lot, where there's this whole chaotic energy constantly swirling around us, and we can get very much pulled into that energy. I found myself this past week, I don't watch the news, I really don't get into it. But of course, I have social media and I open my app, and there was a presidential debate this week here in the US. And, as much as I try and just stay out of it, I found myself starting to get kind of pulled into the commentary after all this happened. And then I realized, okay, I really have to pull myself back. That this is not an energy that I need to be swirling around in. Yes, it's good to be aware of what's happening, but to get so mired into it is not a good sign, because the energies that we are experiencing right now are shifting so fast that really anything is possible. And I think that we can expect a lot of twists and turns as it relates to things like that happening. And that there's so much volatility within the consciousness and just the energy of the collective itself, that I wouldn't put a bet on anything at this point because things are shifting at such a massive rate. And we are getting supported as well with so much external energy coming in to our world that is helping us to shift and collectively shake things down. So that Pluto and Aquarius energy, I think we underestimate just how powerful that is. It's the Lord of the underworld. It is definitely here to shine a flashlight on anything that is hidden, that is corrupt, anything that has been created without good intentions. It's going to amplify that energy, and that is what we need to expect. So, being centered, being in yourself, making sure you're coming home, knowing that we have higher perspectives all around us, and staying in that higher perspective energy. And then also just trusting and surrendering, because when we trust and surrender, there are miracles that can come in at any point in time. And there's miracles all around us if we just tune into them. There's a lot of really supportive energy here on the planet. There's a lot of guides and angels that are embodied. And there's a lot of things happening that many people are not aware of, that are going on, that are really here to help us. And we're here to help each other as well. So trust in that, and know that this is a beautiful month for connecting into your higher self, and to be able to find your own path and follow your heart. So take care and have a wonderful July.